welcome to another basketball edition of the Adrienne Ross Show. And we're going to dive into something today that took off in conversation this week when ESPN put out its list of the top 25 WNBA players. I haven't weighed in. I'm going to weigh in just a little bit. Now, before I get to that, let's do a little bit of, shall we say, housekeeping. All right. First of all, if you sent me an email because you're interested in the book club on To Kill a Mockingbird, I got your email. I got a lot of emails. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to shut it down right now. And then soon I'm going to release information about that. Now, if you're still interested and you didn't shoot me an email at AdrienneRossCom@gmail.com, you can go ahead and do that. And then I'll put you in a different list in case the first list, you know, somebody or a few people decide that they're not going to do it when they get the details. So you don't have to stop with the emails. Feel free to send an email and then I'll put you in a different compartment and then we'll get it all sorted out. But I will be sure to get back to people who sent me an email when I have more information for you. All right, got that out of the way. Second, you see this t-shirt I'm wearing, the Adrienne Ross Show. It says on major podcast platforms. You probably have seen me wear it before. I was selling these at one time and I totally forgot. I had 3 left and I haven't even been talking about them, but I do have 3 left and I want to sell these if you want to buy one. This is same thing as what I have on, but this one is this is a medium that I have, and then I have two large, and it says again, the Adrienne Ross Show on major podcast platforms. Now it doesn't say on YouTube. I'm thinking that I might maybe at some point do something like that, but it says on major podcast platforms, even though I'm doing most of the stuff on YouTube. I'm selling these. If you're local, it's just $20, meaning local, meaning, you know, we can catch up. I can meet up with you and hand you the t-shirt. There's no shipping or handling or anything like that. But if you're not local, then it would be $5 extra. So it'd be $25. So I've got 3. When they go, they go. AdrienneRossCom@gmail.com. If you fit that category of the medium, the 1 medium or the 2 large, make sure you send the email, put t-shirt in the subject line, make sure you put your size. And then if I have that, then I'll reach back out to you and we'll get that taken care of. So, all right, now that we got that out of the way, let's get back to the conversation of the week that I'm hearing on various platforms from various people. And that is ESPN's list. I got to say, first of all, you almost have to take it with a grain of salt. Why? Because it's ESPN. And you've been around long enough now to know ESPN has an agenda. It just does. You know that if you're watching. I mean, maybe you don't watch ESPN and maybe it hasn't dawned on you. But yeah, it's not the ESPN perhaps that we grew up watching if you're about my age. Or maybe it is and I just didn't notice. But you do notice the bias now. And there is a definite anti-Caitlin Clark bias. They put Caitlin Clark number 15 on the list. Number 15. So we're going to take a look at the list. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but I want to make a few points. I want to make a few points about Caitlin Clark. I want to make a point about Angel Reese on the list. I want to make a point about Chennedy Carter, and we'll bring it all together. So here we go. The Paris Olympics may be over, but don't fret. The 2024 WNBA season resumes Thursday, kicking off what should be an entertaining 2 months as a competitive regular season gives way to a seemingly open-ended playoff push. The individual play so far in 2024 has been stellar, headlined by a spectacular run for the Las Vegas Aces' A'ja Wilson that could go down as one of the best in league history. And so it was no debate that she would keep her spot as the number 1 player on ESPN's top 25 WNBA player rankings, now updated through the unofficial first half of the season. Okay, so yeah, A'ja Wilson, I'm not surprised she would be number 1. Last I checked, she was averaging like 27 points a game. And so, you know, she's number 1. But then it says newcomers to this list include 2 first-year players who are neck and neck in the Rookie of the Year race, the Indiana Fever's Caitlin Clark and Chicago Sky's Angel Reese. Can we put the brakes on here? No shade to Angel Reese, but I will say what I've said before. Anybody who thinks this race between Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese is neck and neck is either drinking the same stuff ESPN is drinking, the Kool-Aid, or they're not paying attention. I'm going to say exactly what Sue Bird said. I don't even need to parse through all the numbers and all, although that's good enough. Now, I don't need to spend an hour, 2 hours, 5 minutes trying to figure this one out. Caitlin Clark is the obvious rookie of the year at this point. As Sue Bird said, I got the eye test. It's obvious. So no, they're not neck and neck, but ESPN wants them to be neck and neck. ESPN is always pushing for Angel Reese to either be rookie of the year, or I say even trying to keep it where they could at least argue for co-rookie of the year, or pretending that somehow she could edge out Caitlin Clark. Now, I don't know what could happen because the media are the ones who decide this thing. And I don't trust the media. I don't trust them in politics. I don't trust them in sports. They have an agenda. And if we've been paying attention, we know it's not a pro Caitlin Clark agenda. It's just not. So yeah, bunk to that statement. But it goes on to say both also earned WNBA All-Star bids, making them the first pairs of rookies to earn that distinction since 2014. Other new additions to the rankings include Hamby and McBride and Chennedy Carter, whom we will speak about. Okay, so the rankings features 10 of 12 Olympians who just took home gold, and then the bronze for the 3-on-3, and then it talked about the All-Star game. All right, so A'ja Wilson is number one. First of all, can I just say this? I know this is off topic, and maybe it's just a woman thing. I don't understand. I don't understand the gray hair. They always show this picture of A'ja Wilson, silver gray, whatever that was. What was she thinking? I don't know, but that's just not a very flattering look. And every time I turn around, there's that picture. I know, I digress. But anyway, A'ja Wilson, 27.2 points per game, 12 rebounds per game, 2.9 blocks per game. Okay, I'm not going to argue with that. And obviously there are people who, it's not over yet, but there are people who think she should be MVP. Breanna Stewart's number 2. Okay, Napheesa Collier is number 3. And again, Breanna Stewart and Napheesa Collier, they're the ones who started the Unrivaled League. Okay, so then you have Alyssa Thomas. You know, remember Alyssa Thomas, the one who clotheslined Angel Reese of the Connecticut Sun, also an Olympian. There it is, an Olympian. Jonquel Jones was not an Olympian, but she was a part of the All-Star team that kicked the Olympians' booties in the All-Star game. Remember Jonquel Jones? She was the one that saw that pass that Caitlin Clark got to Aaliyah Boston, and she was like, whoo. Her whole, she couldn't believe that pass got through. That's Jonquel Jones. She's up there. Okay, so Jackie Young, UNESCO, and we'll just continue to go on down here, going down. And, you know, here's Hamby. We'll see what happens with Hamby. She's the one, remember, that's suing, who is suing. She's suing the Aces because she was pregnant, and then they decided to give her the old heave-ho. I haven't weighed in on that either. I may or may not, but that's Hamby. So that'll be interesting. And then you've got Kalia Copper, who of course does her thing, and as long as she doesn't have to talk to the media, she's doing all right. All right, you got Kelsey Plum, you got all this, Agumba Wale, we know how good she is, Jewel Lloyd, and then we get to 15, and there is Caitlin Clark. Listen, there is no way in the world that Caitlin Clark is at 15. I'm gonna say Caitlin Clark is in the top 5, top 7 at the lowest point of this thing. How she's number 15 is beyond me. Every time Caitlin Clark steps on the court, what do we see? She's either setting a record, breaking a record, getting to a certain place before anyone else has ever gotten there, and it's halfway only through the season, and she's a rookie. I mean, I cannot even keep up with the record she's setting or breaking or getting or outdoing someone in terms of how long it took her to get there. It's almost like every single time. She's assisting, she's accounting for a tremendous amount of points, whether she's scoring them herself or she's assisting on them. Her passing is otherworldly. She is leading as a rookie the league in her passing. We talk about that a lot. So she's at 17.1 points per game, 5.8 rebounds per game. Understand, that's from a guard at 5.8 rebounds per game, 8.2 assists per game, and breaking records like nobody's business, to the point where I am so grateful for people who come in the comments and say, this is all that she's done. And they will list a ton of stuff. I'm glad they do it because I cannot keep up with it. So for Caitlin Clark to be number 15, it doesn't pass the smell test. And to use Sue Bird's expression, it doesn't pass the eye test. She doesn't deserve to be 15. But ESPN is ESPN, and ESPN will do what ESPN does. Okay, so there you have it. I'll get back to that. So you got Brittany Griner, you got Aaliyah Boston. Now let's skip down to 19. Angel Reese. Now, there are about 144 players in the league. I'm not trying to hate on Angel Reese, but there ain't no way that Angel Reese should be number 19, especially when you look at the other players who are underneath Angel Reese. Angel Reese is a decent player. Angel Reese, in the game against the Mercury on Thursday night, they were talking about her rebounds again. She broke another record, broke Sylvia Fowles' record in terms of offensive rebounds. And I've said it a million times, I'll say it again. There's a certain amount of skill for rebounding. You got to have a certain nose for the ball. But we do know they hyped that all up during the double-double streak, which was suspect, at least some of it. At least when they were trying to keep it going. And there were times when it was like, oh, she got 10 points. So now she's got the double-double. And I've said before, we're making too much of this streak. A person can have 29 points and 9 rebounds and not have a double-double. But we're talking about a double-double Angel Reese has because she happened to have, she got over the hump and got to 10 points. That's just ridiculous. But she does work hard. I watched the game. I watched the Mercury game. Well, I semi-watched. It's kind of boring. Sorry. But I had it on and I was looking at it. And so, I heard them pumping her up and oh, she's always out there doing her thing. And oh, she's always playing hard. And you know what? She does play hard. And I found myself saying that the girl plays hard. Okay. But here's the truth. She's supposed to play hard. They're all supposed to be playing hard. Okay, that's your job. That doesn't make you spectacular, and it doesn't make you 19. And it certainly doesn't justify what we hear from the announcers who are constantly blowing it up. Why? Because they're trying to make sure that she's in the running for Rookie of the Year. In the same way that ESPN cannot have Caitlin Clark too far up where she belongs, because then how are they going to answer for all of them running their mouths saying that Caitlin Clark shouldn't have been on the Olympic team? Okay, so if she's too far up there, then how do you look when you say she's not ready yet to be in the Olympics? So again, everything has an agenda, and so it is with Angel Reese. Every time you watch a game, you almost can't take it because it's constant. They have an agenda for it. And she was player of the game. And I'm like, you get blown out by 20 and you're player of the game, etc. There's no way. And there certainly isn't a way when you go down and you look at Chennedy Carter. Chennedy Carter was 24. She's under Angel Reese. There's no way anybody who's seen Chennedy Carter play can think that Angel Reese should be higher than she is. Nobody. Chennedy Carter has had quite a history. We know, kicked off some teams and threatening her teammates supposedly and body checking Caitlin Clark and the whole thing. But the girl can play basketball. And she, one-on-one, my goodness, she's at 17.2 points per game, 2.7 assists per game, 1.3 steals per game. And a lot of the times, most of the time, I believe she's coming off the bench. So for her to be at 17, for her to be at 24 and Angel Reese to be at 19 is just absolutely ridiculous. It really is. And she thought so too. And so in Chennedy Carter fashion, she took to social media to complain about it. And some have said when she was complaining, she's talking about Caitlin Clark, because we've heard her before say, what does she do? What does she bring to the game except for 3-pointers? I think Caitlin Clark has cleared that up. We know. Okay. But some are saying, yes, she's upset about that. Others are saying she's upset about Angel Reese and that, all the soap opera drama. People are saying they've unfollowed each other on Instagram, whatever. And, whatever. I don't want to get into the soap opera as far as that goes. But here she went to social media and she wrote how I average less minutes and my stats top in the league, but I'm at the bottom. This isn't adding up. The hate be so obvious. Field goal percentage as well. So she had that to complain about. And then there was this. When you're undeniably good, there's nothing they can do. Just keep watching. They tried to keep me out, spit on my name. We prevail. That's what she said. Well, I don't know who's who they are and spitting on her name and all that. We do know that she had posted before that she was not invited to be on Rival, so she didn't like that. So she goes to social media, she complains about it. Now, you got to contrast that to Caitlin Clark. Do I think Caitlin Clark likes being number 15? Absolutely do not. Do I think Caitlin Clark is going to go on social media or go before the media and complain about it? Absolutely not. If she said anything about it, it would be something like, I'm looking forward to improving my game. I'm going to be working hard on my game. Whatever. She's going to say, I want to get better. Why? Not because she's blowing smoke. Well, no, because she does want to get better. Caitlin Clark never entered the league thinking that she was all that, like, some of the haters try to pretend. She knew that this was a step up that she was ready for. Although she done pretty much show she is all that. But Caitlin Clark is not going to go on social media or to the media and just whine and complain about it. Even though she has a case, just like Chennedy Carter does. She's not going to do that. Now, I know she's looking at that going, that mess is bogus. She's got to be. You know what? I remember my first year teaching, my first observation. Principal comes into the classroom. They have to do the observation for the new teachers, for all untenured teachers. And so they've got their notes they're doing. Then you get an appointment. You come into the class, to the principal's office, and you have a sit down, and they're going through everything that's on your evaluation, which goes into your file. Okay, so he's going through my evaluation. There are wonderful things in the evaluation. Excellent, 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 blah, blah, blah. And we get to one point, I don't even remember what it was, but I was given a satisfactory. Here I am, all of 25 years old when I entered teaching, all of 25. And I'm sitting there in this office and we get to the satisfactory. And so you have and I'm like, hold up, in spite of all the beauty of all the high accolades otherwise, there was one satisfactory there. And I said, excuse me, but I've never been satisfactory on anything. And so again, can you think about it? 25 years old, new teacher, I got a whole lot of nerve, right? And maybe a little bit of arrogance. But there was I said, I've never been satisfactory at anything. He went on to explain to me, and I don't like the politics of it, but he went on to explain to me that you have to have something in your file to indicate a need to go higher, because then as you progress, if I start you out at excellent at everything, then there's really no room to go up. There's only a room to have a bad day and go down. And so they'd rather have you going up. And so they do the whole thing. But whatever. I didn't like it, but I'm talking about the nerve, right? But this is what I was thinking. Okay. I wasn't rude. I wasn't disrespectful. I saw it, and I obviously knew I wasn't just satisfactory. Caitlin Clark knows Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark knows that she is not number 15 on that list, but she's not going to whine and complain in the same way that Chennedy Carter does. And I think that's the issue with Carter, and maybe a factor in some of the issues that she's had, trying to keep it together when you feel like at times the world is against you. And I think she has that mindset. I don't know her story, but I get the impression she done been through some stuff. And so she gets out there and she speaks her mind. not so good. Caitlin Clark, she's going to see it. She's going to make a mental note of it, and she's going to come out harder and stronger and just do the work on the court. That's just how she rolls, which is one of the reasons we appreciate her as we do. But Chennedy Carter definitely has a reason to complain. Whether there's now beef between her and Angel Reese, as people are saying, I don't know. Angel Reese didn't make the list, so I'm not faulting her for that. But I am saying that she is the beneficiary of some stuff that's going on behind the scenes. So there we have it. That's my thought on the list. No, Caitlin Clark should not be down to number 15. It should be obvious, but it's ESPN. So we have a game tonight, the first game back for the Indiana Fever facing Phoenix Mercury. So Phoenix is in a back-to-back. They just blew out Chicago Sky, who, by the way, played without Chennedy Carter. And the reason was they said non-COVID illness, which is kind of interesting. Some people are saying, yeah, and I kind of thought it too. Is it a situation where it's like, oh, okay, so you don't need me? Well, I need a mental health day. Okay, see how you do. And they didn't do well. I don't know. I'm not saying that. Maybe she is injured. I looked on her social media and I saw a video on August 2nd where she was in the gym. She retweeted from Skytown Central, said Chennedy Carter looking ready for the final stretch of the season. And she's, doing an array of moves and dropping shots. And then that was on August 2nd. And then I did notice on August 7th, she posted update, God is working, ankle will be fine. Thank you for the well wishes. So is there something going on with the ankle? I don't know. Well, I tell you this, and this is off the conversation. Non-COVID illness? Do we define everything by COVID, which I still call the coronavirus? What does that mean? If she has an ankle injury, then you say she's out due to an ankle injury. Do we define everything in this culture now as what did we do before COVID tried to take over the world, according to people who tried to shut everything down and force people to do things with it that they didn't want to do? And, I could get all into that. But now everything is defined by non-COVID. Oh, she got a bad knee. So now we're going to say, so somebody has a bad knee. Player so-and-so has a bad knee. We're not going to say that she's got a non-COVID illness. She's got a non-COVID injury. If you got brain surgery, which I had a little over 2 years ago, if you got brain surgery, they're not going to say she's recuperating from brain surgery. She has a non-COVID situation. Don't give it that much power, please. What is that? Everything defined by, I'm going off on a tangent, but it's annoying. What's the deal? Non-COVID illness. How many? COVID is one thing. That means you got a million other trillions, gazillion, gabillion things it's non-COVID because COVID is the standard. Anyway, game tonight versus the Phoenix Mercury. Looking forward to it. I may go live and during the game, I may instead wait till after the game. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. So be sure that you have your notifications turned on. Listen, hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. I appreciate that. All right. Appreciate you. God bless you abundantly. And I'll catch you next time. God willing.